Hi everyone, it's me, Kate, host of Retriever internationally, and I'm a linguist, founder of Multilingual and Lingo Plus. And today we talk about multilingual dreams. So if you're multilingual, perhaps you have dreamt multiple languages. Or even if you're still lingual learning other languages, you might have experienced that as well, dreaming maybe in an unknown language. So what happened there? Why we may dream in multiple languages? Does that actually mean that our subconscious like switches tones while we sleep? What happens? Let's have a look at the research, what the research says about language and dreaming, about like emotional, say, connections between languages, personalities, identities, right? And how we can use these dreams to deepen your multilingual life, right? So if we think about like different studies here, research, um, we can find that languages we dream in are often linked to our emotional context. Yeah, so our language exposure, our environment. And of course, if you speak multiple languages, at least two, your brain doesn't just turn off uh, when you don't use them, when you don't use these languages, right? And often our mind processes recent experiences. Meaning that if, let's say, um, you used a particular language that day, then maybe it would come to surface, yeah, at night. And if we look at neuroscience, we know that dreams help us consolidate our memories, right? We have different types of memories, like linguistic memory. So let's say that if you had an intense class of Spanish, and then you dreamt in Spanish, yeah, the next night, it's good because your brain helps you to learn, like to memorize whatever you learn in that session. Or sometimes, and this happens to me as well, if you haven't learned a particular language for quite some time, maybe for a few months, years, and suddenly you dream in that language, hmm, probably something triggered it. It could be your personality in that language popped up. Maybe there was a location, a certain association, and emotion that's tied up to that language. That's what might have happened. Because what's peculiar, especially if you're multilingual, you may have divided your languages into two categories: emotional languages and functional languages. And I noticed it a long time ago how I was categorizing my languages. And as soon as I noticed that some of them were like functional, I was trying to switch them also to emotional ones. Functional, I'm more like for work, everyday life, emails, this type of thing. Emotional languages, of course, are the ones where you experience emotions, where you may cry, you may laugh, sing, dream, right? So which I try also like to categorize here your languages. But then, of course, when if we have this category, so when we dream, we turn to our emotional core. And especially if you've been moving countries since your childhood and you speak multiple languages, you may dream, let's say, in the language of your childhood, because maybe it's associated with your parents and comfort. Or maybe if you're speaking English at work and you have dreams in English, maybe it's something about your colleagues. Or maybe um, there's something else like about your friendships. Or maybe, let's say, you fell in love and know in Italian and you were dreaming in Italian because it's associated, yeah, with relationships like even years later. So often, language we dream in doesn't reflect our fluency, but reflects more our emotional connection to that language and to that culture. And it's good also to observe, like, because in dreams, we are also connected to our self, like our multi-layered self. And we have this constellation of personalities, identities, memories, emotions. And all of them, like each of them, is tied to a particular language. And then the beauty of it, because maybe you speak in Spanish to your family, English work, French you flirt, whatever. So the question is, does it mean that if you dream in French, it's like something about romance, right? Um, what I would say what happens is that language encodes your emotional memory. And I've talked about it in different videos, how important it is to connect emotions to languages, because indeed we have linguistic memory, we have emotional memory, and language is a psychological phenomenon. But the thing is, language alter ego, you are a different version of yourself in each language. Just different, right? Because you're uniquely coded psychologically, emotionally, linguistically, culturally, because you have this linguistic and cultural lens. So what happens is that when you're dreaming in multiple languages, you are connecting to different parts of yourself, to different personalities. And in order not to go crazy, or actually to connect better to yourself and to languages and cultures that you are speaking and living in, what you can do, you can start dream journaling. I don't know if you've ever tried to journal to memorize your dreams, but what you can do, just, simple. When you wake up and let's say you from a particular language, you can be like, okay, what language I was speaking? So who else was there? It's important because it's your environment, who are you connected with, and how you psychologically connecting certain languages to people. I've talked about it in other videos as well. But then, um, how also you felt, how you felt about speaking the language or in the situation or the person. And then what happens, especially if you're not very fluent in that language, you can deepen your connection to the language, right? And you can understand also your emotional landscape through it. And often you may even revive, forgotten vocabulary, trigger, certain associations, connections, which is beautiful. Because again, this is one of the ways how to keep up with languages, right? And of course, you can deepen your linguistic curiosity. You can open this window, like window to your inner emotional world, your memory, your personality, identity, right? And I would say explore the space you're in, because language in dreams is like space. It's not just like, yeah, I know it too. It's space. So therefore, next time you dream in Portuguese or in Japanese or another language, just have a look what this version of yourself is trying to tell you. And that's all for today. I'm curious to hear your stories, your experiences. Feel free to share in comments if you like this video, like, subscribe, and we'll see each other in other videos.